Nostalgia hoops, nostalgia sports and culture. Shout out to everybody tuning in. So yesterday I was scrolling through Twitter. Remember I just did the video about Breonna Stewart and Chennai speaking out about the cuts and expanding the league to either having the D League or more teams so that you can have a lot of this talent still in the league and not having to go elsewhere or go to a whole nother career field or get cut and go to another team. And I felt like it was a brilliant idea. And when thinking about it, was a question posed: what cities should get the teams? And for me, at a pivotal time like this, where you're trying to really expand the WNBA and you're trying to grow the brand and get interest into the sport, you have to not just select a city, but a city with something attached to it, and particularly the right ambassadors. And my original thought was the Rockers and the Houston Comets, because the Houston Comets, getting rid of them was a huge mistake. And I don't think they should be the first over these two cities I'm going to name, but you don't get rid of the Lakers. You don't get rid of the Celtics. This was your first dynasty. And when you don't respect your history, it's hard for people to respect you today. So that's a mistake that has to be corrected. Now, if it has to be three teams, then that's the third team that you add. But at some point, you have to address that Houston void. A lot of these cities, like the Houston Comets and a few and one other that I'm going to name, there are bases that are more supportive of everything with women. Now we're in a more pro woman empowerment world. So when you come back to these cities and these places, a lot of that support that wasn't there originally, the understanding, it's been years, years, and years. The kids that were babies growing up watching Lisa Leslie, Tina Thompson, Sheryl Swoops, Cynthia Cooper, they're adults now, and that's something that sticks out in their childhood. So you have legendary players on that team, you have a legendary history, and that's just something, if you really want to go forward the right way, that you have to correct. You cannot get rid of the first dynasty. When these young girls were coming up and reaching for something, like how the young men reached for Mike, they were reaching for what was created in Houston, that four times the first four championships, like not split up overtime. Four is the pinnacle that everybody stops at now. Like I feel like Maya deserved five. They was robbed one year against the Sparks, but four is the pinnacle in the WNBA, and they were the first to do it, and they got the first four. So your inaugural champion doesn't exist, and that's just crazy. But that's the third team that should be added after these two. The first two is the Cleveland Rockers and whatever Toronto would be named. And I say that because of this. You have Drake in one location that's totally supportive, saying that they need a team ambassador for Toronto already. And you have LeBron that wants to own a basketball team. And he would be totally behind Cleveland, I believe. So if you brought the Cleveland Rockers back and had LeBron a part of that, and if you brought a Toronto team, you get you a global team. So you're expanding the game globally. I'm sure much of Canada will get behind it the same way they get behind the Raptors. We seen they started something crazy, being super deep outside of playoff games. And we see how supportive they are when they begin winning. So you have the two greatest in their fields of our time. When you put them up there in GOAT conversations in their field, LeBron with Jordan or Drake with Pac, Jay-Z, whatever, there's a large segment of the population that's totally behind whatever these guys do. They are squeaky clean. LeBron's a family man. Drake has kept his clean image all the way through, had a diverse demographic of support. I just think they excel at everything that they've put their hands on, and they would excel in this arena too. And Drake already experienced with Toronto. LeBron as a GM in his Miami days and Cleveland days, we've seen the championships that has produced. LeBron kind of taking that Kobe role, how he was pushing the WNBA already. Both of these guys are already attached to the WNBA. So it's just a no-brainer. And with huge brands, you put both of them together, that's bigger than the whole sport right now. So you add that, I think it's just something that has to be done. If I'm the commissioner, I definitely salute Cathy for putting this thought out there already and being willing to listen to what the players are saying, listen to what the fans are saying, and ready to adjust. And I think right now is the time to jump on these two teams with LeBron behind the Cleveland Rockers and Drake behind the Toronto Six or whatever they're going to be called. I think that's a win for the whole league. It expands the brand and it brings more attention and support to the WNBA, and it grows the sport ultimately. And there's more spots and more jobs for women who've played their whole life to play. So nostalgia hoops, nostalgia sports and culture. Let me know what you think. But right after you take care of that, it's more. Oh, one more thing about Cleveland. I don't want to just say because of LeBron. It's a huge sports town. They have a women's football team, the Cleveland Monsters, baseball, basketball. It's still a soccer team, a roller derby. Almost every professional sport is in Cleveland. Already have the experience with the Browns leaving and then coming back and giving more support even through the losing year. So this is a city that's well versed and prone to a team leaving, coming back, and supporting professional sports. And there'll just be even more love for women's sports now. Like I said, it's even a women's football team here. Like, share, subscribe. Nostalgia Hoops, Nostalgia Sports and Culture. Let me know what you think in the comments. But right after we get those two, we got to get the Houston Comets back because you can't go forward without the first dynasty.